Hello and welcome back to the Bright Light Wellness YouTube channel and the Bright Light Wellness Substack. Today, I have a really important topic to talk to you. I want to talk about living with chronic pelvic pain and what I've done to help alleviate that chronic pelvic pain. So it's an indoor day, it's raining, I'm walking inside, downstairs in my office space. And whew, I remember when walking was just too painful for me to do. Every single step hurt. And I lived with chronic pelvic pain most of my life. But I'm sure most of you know my story is that it got really, really awful for me in 2021. But before that, I still had dealt with it. So all my life, I had lived with UTIs, yeast infections, chronically back and forth. And then around it was 2019, I developed interstitial cystitis and my chronic pelvic pain. I endo was topics of thought. Like people said it's possible that I have endo, but I never wanted to do the scope to find out. I just never felt like that aligned because that was the way that you would diagnose it. So I dealt with chronic pelvic pain for a really long time. And it was so hard. I had the burning bladder, burning pain, vaginal pain, pain with intimacy, constant discomfort all day. I mean, every day it felt like I had a UTI or imagine what a UTI feels like and to live with that every day. Some days it would feel like I have a yeast infection, but I didn't. Some days it would feel like, just aching and pain and just really bad discomfort. And my periods were horrible. There was so much pain there. There was a lot of discomfort before my period, during my period, after my period, during ovulation. Like everything was just so inflamed in that area. Um, and I kept looking for that one thing that would fix it. And the truth is there's never just one thing that fixed it. For me and or for anybody who deals with any kind of chronic health issues. Um, and I went to the allopathic medicine model for a long time. I saw urogynecologists. I saw a pelvic pain specialist. I did all those things. I saw endocrinologists because I knew it was connected to my hormones. I saw urogynecologists, or like they were supposed to do both. Like I saw all kinds of medical professionals and professionals, and none of them could really help me. And it was a scary, dark place. Like I know I've talked about this many times. But truthfully, there was no diet, there was no supplement, and there was no one homeopathic remedy. There was nothing that really was this one thing that healed it. It was a gradual thing that happened over time, right? And it happened because I started supporting my body in dozens of small ways that helped it heal. And that these small things that we do day in and day out start to make a big impact. We don't even think about it. Like this one little thing we did. I'm like, does that really matter? Yeah, that 5 minutes that you put your feet on the grass and you stood there, it mattered. But it's like we don't see the instant change right away, but it all made an impact over time. And the place that I was in 2021, which was scary, like I thought my life was over in many ways, and that mindset kept it, that worry, that loop, that mindset kept that situation going because the mind is huge when it comes to chronic pain also. But, I was unable to work, unable to take care of my family, unable to go food shopping. I was in such depression, unable to sleep from pain, unable to really take care of myself, let alone anybody else. I mean, it was really, really a dark place. And they were, like I've mentioned many times, there were days that I was like, if this is what my life is going to be like, I don't want to be here. Because it was like, and I honestly thought in those days that my life was over. I'm never going to be intimate with my husband again, like all of these things. And that was important to me. I mean, it was important. I didn't want to give that up for the rest of my life. Like it was really a really challenging time. So I want to share some things that made a huge difference for me over time, okay? But I want you to know that there was no quick fix, okay? The biggest mindset shift I had to make was letting go of the idea that healing comes from finding like this one answer, whether that's one medication or it's one supplement or it's one diet or this one thing that was going to heal me. My body had years of inflammation years of nervous system dysregulation, years of hormonal imbalances, years of nutrient depletion. That was a huge part of my story. Years of histamine issues that got exacerbated during a medical intervention, and years of emotional stress, right? So all of those layers needed support. So instead of trying to fight my body, I had to learn to create conditions that would allow my body to heal. And that was a lot of safety signals, was really, really important. And everything, of course, I did for me was personalized, especially when it came to homeopathics, flower essences, tissue salts, nutrition. That stuff was all personalized to me because not everybody tolerates the same things. That there was a time that eating oxalates and histamine foods was just not even an option because of the amount of pain it would cause me, right? And I'm not there now, thank goodness. I've done a lot of healing work, but everything does need to be personalized. But lifestyle was foundational. It began with like removing toxins out of my house, plastics and toxic laundry detergent and cleaning supplies, all that disrupt your hormones, right? So removing all of those things, I remember what was the first things I did. Like, so I was starting to change my environment. And then I started learning about circadian rhythms and sunlight and grounding and all of that. That came next. I'm talking about when I got into the holistic world. I mean, I was doing some diet stuff there too, which was unhelpful. Restrictive diets were unhelpful. I'll remind you of that again and again. That was the most unhelpful thing I could do. My body needed safety and nourishment. It did not need restriction and fear. Restriction and fear should never be a part of anybody's healing journey. But safety, I found safety in nature and my nervous system and hormones and my metabolism all could regulate more when I started connecting with nature. So that was huge, changing my environment, starting to be more outside. Sunlight became huge medicine for me. It still is. Morning sunlight, midday sunlight, sunset light. I was out there as much as I could be. And every part of the day is sending a different signal to your body. And of course, if you're listening to my channel, that sunlight helps regulate circadian rhythms, which affects every hormone in the body, your master hormones, cortisol, leptin, and melatonin. And when my circadian rhythm started to improve, I did sleep better, even though I was still in pain. I could sleep for longer stretches. My stress response became calmer. My hormones became more balanced. My depression really took a big, big leap. It got a lot better. Okay. My nervous system became more resilient. My energy levels increased and my pain levels increased. Okay. And one of the reasons why pain level will increase is one of the benefits of sunlight is it stimulates the production of beta endorphins. It does this through the POMC molecule. I have a podcast on POMC if you want to listen to that one. And I think I have a Substack article on it as well. But it's basically our body's own natural pharmacy that sunlight helps with serotonin, dopamine, melatonin, like all these things that feel good, right? Help you feel good. Um, but yeah, beta endorphins are like our body's own natural pain relieving chemicals that we can, really signal to our body just by being in sunlight. It's why we're addicted to sunlight, why we're addicted to keep going back to it because it produces these beta endorphins. Okay. So you will hurt less the more you can get regular sunlight, just in general. You sleep better, you will feel better, your immune system will work better, your hormones will work better. So I'm always promoting sunlight. And grounding also helps with all of those same things, circadian rhythms, pain reduction, because you're gathering energy, you're pulling in energy. That was the way I first started to heal, was by pulling in energy from my environment and taking away the things that would steal my energy. Okay. Like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Wi-Fi was a huge one for me as well. Taking Wi-Fi out of my home really, really helped. There's a connection between Wi-Fi and mold if you're not aware that if you are Wi-Fi will feed mold. And I know I had mold illness. I found all these things out about myself, and I don't even believe those are not the cause, but the Wi-Fi is feeding it, right? It's the environment you're living in. That's causing the issue. Okay. So yeah, grounding was also really helpful. I spent every day outside grounding in sunlight for a very long time. And just sitting there and also getting still, reconnecting with myself. That was huge. But yeah, a lot of grounding time I spent doing And it helps with the nervous system, it helps with hormones, it helps with circadian rhythms, it helps reduce pain. All of those things are improved by earthing. I think I have a video on earthing as well if you want to go back. Um, and actually, the more melatonin you have and melanin you have, this beautiful tan on my skin, the better histamine regulation you have. So healthy light exposure, of course, supports melatonin. It supports melanin, but melanin isn't just a skin pigment. It's an incredible biological molecule that involves protecting tissue from oxidative stress and supporting cellular function. Okay. It gives more energy and it actually helps. It's an electron donor. It actually helps the body, just like grounding is an electron donor, it reduces inflammation in the body. It sends electrons, donates electrons to where you need, which reduces inflammation. Okay. So, and also if you shine when you go out in sunlight, you are going to help move histamine. It helps remove it, or it helps regulate it, I should say, not remove it, but it helps regulate that histamine response. Most people who have histamine issues will notice when they get regular sunlight that their histamines are less and they can tolerate more things. Um, so that's another thing to think about. Okay. So when I improved my light environment, I also noticed my histamine symptoms improved, and histamine for me was a great big driver of my pelvic pain. So again, that would be I had better lighting, like my light environment was better, right? So it was better sleep, better stress resilience, or lower stress and lower histamine. Everything worked together. And we're going to talk also about why darkness matters quickly because healing doesn't happen in the light only, it happens in light, but darkness is just as important. And real healing happens in the darkness. So by reducing artificial light, wearing blue blockers, dimming the lights, allowing melatonin production to be high was really important. And we make melatonin during the day. We need to get morning sunlight to make serotonin, which becomes melatonin, which helps you sleep later on at night and also drives those good circadian rhythms. But melatonin was really important because melatonin helps regulate histamine, which then drove down the histamine. So if the melatonin is high at night, the histamine will stay low. If the melatonin is low, the histamine is going to rise. So they run on a circadian cycle together. So if you can look up your melatonin, you can reduce your histamine levels, which usually spike at night. And that's why I couldn't sleep at night. My heart was racing and my bladder was on fire and my pelvic pain was so out of control and it would always be worse at night. And that was because histamine was so high. Okay. So melatonin helps with tissue repair, immune regulation, inflammation, hormone balance, mitochondrial health, and protecting my body's ability to make melatonin became imperative. Okay. Nutrition, of course, was also important, but at first, well, it wasn't about perfection, but I thought it was in the beginning, right? I had to be perfect to heal with food. I really thought that for a very long time. And I every time I get more and more bold with my food choices. I'm still not eating gluten, but I get more and more bold with my food choices and I'm more and more relaxed. And the other day, my kids and I were at Starbucks, and I don't drink coffee or engage in places like this typically. And my son got a Java chip and he's like, "You want some?" And I was like, I took a sip and I was like, Vanessa 3 years ago would not do that. And that's a little thing about healing that is important to understand because the Vanessa 3 years ago was so perfectionistic and rigid and dogmatic and controlled. And that is the whole system that's keeping Vanessa stuck, myself stuck, right? That whole rigidity, right? So I'm way more flexible and I like smile at myself every time I do these kinds of things where it's like, okay, it's fine. I can, because I know my capacity is stronger. I'm more resilient. So there's less fear, right? Because fear and control was driving most of my pathology. And we really deep down dive to what was really going on. All of the things I'm telling you help bring safety to my body, but that was really what was driving it. Okay. So food is not about perfection, even though I thought it was, but it was about reducing the burden on my body at that time. So at that time, I did reduce things like oxalates and histamines because my body couldn't handle it. I would eat a thing of salmon and I would be like, I would be dying, in pain. Like I couldn't eat these things, these healthy foods, right? Because I was in such a bad place that at that time I couldn't do that. Now I eat salmon all the time. It's not a problem. But over the years, my nutrition has really, I have some good videos about my food journey, but I have learned that eating enough is really important. Supporting my blood sugar is really important. Reducing foods that increase my personal symptoms, that was important. Okay. Um, Prioritizing nutrient-dense foods, of course, supporting minerals, all of this, eating whole, real, seasonal, local foods. I have a webinar, ancestrally and seasonally nourished webinar. You can listen to that. I have a light webinar, okay, the Get Your Light Right webinar. You can get that. These webinars can help you if you're struggling with pelvic pain. They're all linked in the show notes, okay? And remember, they're not going to be like quick fixes, but they're steps that build all these habits, all these things that you do day in and out. They build and build and build. And it's like these small things that you've been doing. All of a sudden, you're like, you wake up a couple of days like, oh, I'm not in pain today. I had a period that didn't have any pain, or like, or just was way less pain. Like all of a sudden, you'll see these things over time. It's not like dramatic. It's not like a pill that you take that just gets rid of things, right? Anyway, but I will say nutrition can be something that's very individualized, and that's why I do nutrition consults with people to help them, okay, personalize it because nutrition can be something that's a bit more nuanced. I can say to you, yes, eat local, seasonal, great, wonderful, but sometimes that's not working for the person. So we need to be individualized. Maybe that person's been living in the never-ending winter and they're eating keto and carnivore forever, and they're not realizing that, oh, I have to actually use my other metabolism, which is mTOR. Like, oh, my body's too stressed, as you know what, and it needs some other supports. So we have to personalize nutrition when it comes to that. Okay. Homeopathy was probably the most important part in my recovery. Let's be honest. And that's why it's why I'm a homeopath. I wouldn't be a homeopath if it didn't change my life. It did. That's how I got involved with homeopathy. It changed my life. And it's not because it suppresses symptoms, because it doesn't at all. Sometimes symptoms get worse for a little bit, which I experienced many times along my journey, which was hard. It was really hard. I'm really learned a lot better ways to use homeopathy, so it's not as stressful, because sometimes it can be stressful when you're dealing with pain and you need to really push it, you know. But I've learned better ways to support people since that time, since when my own journey was in homeopathy. I know ways to help mitigate aggravations, I should say. Um, but homeopathy helped my body's ability to regulate again and increase my vital force and increase my energy. The right remedy changed as I changed, right? It wasn't stagnant. It wasn't like I used one remedy. I can be like, oh yeah, if you have chronic pelvic pain, you need sepia. Well, yeah, sepia is a great one for chronic pelvic pain, and it was actually my first remedy. But I also use pulsatilla and berberis and sulfur and carcinosin and tons of cell salts, and there's more semisafuga. There's been so many remedies that I have used, that Nux vomica, I could go on and on, arsenic amalgam, that I've used that have helped. And it's healing is that layered spiral. Remember, I have a video about healing as a spiral. It's this layered spiral pattern. So we come back to these remedies as different people. So it's not static, it's not linear. Your body, as it heals, it evolves, and we need to shift and change with that. And that's why you really need a practitioner. Pulsatilla, another remedy. You really need a practitioner to help you through those shifts and those changes. Ignatius helped me. Um, that's why it needs to be individualized care. It matters. It's not like allopathic medicine. Homeopathy is not like allopathic medicine where you're like, oh, you have pelvic pain, you take this. That's not how it works. You are treating a person, you are supporting a person and who they are at this core fundamental level. We're matching your energy with a substance, an energetic substance from nature. It has to match. If it doesn't match, it won't work. This is why homeopaths like get a bad rep, is because they say, okay, you can't do these controlled studies on homeopathy, and you really can't. You know why? Because it's individualized. So I can give somebody high blood pressure medication, and it's going to do the same work on every single person because it's not individualized, right? It's just everybody can take that. It's controlled. and everybody's blood pressure should go down from that. But homeopathy for blood pressure is going to be the remedy that's individualized to you. So each person would need a different remedy. So it's very hard to do controlled studies because that's not how homeopathy works. It is individualized medicine. So you can't do that. Like, it's just like, there's not the, like, I always laugh when someone's like, what's the remedy for a headache? I'm like, well, I've only got about, 700 in my repertoire that I could use for headaches. So I need to know more about your headache. What side is it on? When does it come on? Does it come on a certain time of day? Morning, night? Is it always over your left eye? Is it right before your menses? Does a hot pack help? Does a cold pack help? Does it come on from not eating? Do you feel ravenously hungry? Are you thirsty? Like, I'm gonna ask you like 800 questions about your headache. Maybe not 800, but quite a few actually. And then I'm going to ask you about your own health, history as well, and your parents' health history and your life history and about who you are as a person. It's very different. All right. Anyway, that was a whole rap about homeopathy. If you need support with homeopathy, for any kind of chronic health issue, I highly recommend it. So yes, you can book in a session if you need one. Now we're going to get to some practical tips. I know I've been rambling about a lot of things, but cell salts also became another daily support that I love recommending. And I use cell salts every single day, all day long for different things. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling this. I need this one. Oh, I'm feeling that. I need this. Right. And I just kind of do it. Like, I just take them as needed and they are so supportive and so gentle. So let's talk about one that you can use for pelvic pain. I'm just going to take a sip of water. One that you could use for pelvic pain, and that is mag-phos or magnesium phosphate. It's magnesium and phosphorus together, mag-phos. It's often called the homeopathic antispasmodic because it helps ease muscle cramp, spasms, and nerve pain. So if you are having trouble with chronic pelvic pain or painful periods, mag-phos is a really, really good one. Magnesium is great for pain in general. I mean, you do things like Epsom salt baths, right? Magnesium, when we're stressed, magnesium gets depleted very quickly. So magnesium is something we all probably need a lot of because a lot of us are really stressed. So definitely I utilize MagFos only as needed now because I don't have chronic pelvic pain. But if I do feel some sort of crampiness during my cycle or during ovulation, I go and grab the MagFos every time. No hesitation. I just take it. And what a great protocol is number one, if you know that you have painful periods, the week before your luteal phase, start taking it. Start taking some MagFos. You can get a 6X. I'll leave a link of a good one that I like. Okay. Start taking it the couple of days before you usually have the pain. So your body's kind of like getting a little bit of magnesium. Because remember, tissue salts have both it's homeopathic, but it's not as dilute as a homeopathic um, typically. So it's going to have some of the original substance left. So there is some actual mag phos remaining. Okay. There is some of that original substance, but there's also an energetic substance. So it's like a tuning fork to help you utilize minerals better. So if you take mag phos and then you eat some chocolate or some pumpkin seeds, you're going to utilize that magnesium and phosphorus better. Okay. Um, Now, when the pain is really bad, I want to leave you with a good little protocol you could use for helping. MagFloss has helped me so much with cramping. What you want to do is you actually this is only for MagFloss. You want to take 4 pellets out of the bottle. If you're looking at a homeopathic bottle of MagFloss 6X, you're going to shake it. You're going to pour some into the cap. You're not going to touch it. You're going to drop 4 pellets into some warm water, not hot, but warm water. Okay. And you can sip it all throughout the day. You can even put it right into your water bottle, but a little bit of warm water does help as well. And sip it through the day when it's really bad. Okay. And that should help. Many people find this works better because it's gentle and repeated stimulation throughout the day. But the days before the day, like say you're in the luteal phase and your period's starting to come, start taking it. Start taking it. Take it every day. It's okay. You want to use it when the symptoms are present, and you want to use it based on how intense the symptoms are. Okay. You can also get Mag Phos in a 30C and try that as well, but I would rather know your picture or know more about you before prescribing that. Cell salts are pretty safe to use. I have a course on cell salts, so you can learn how to take cell salts and use them with yourself and your family each and every day. So you can go and grab that. And I also have cell salt consultations if you want to book in a consultation and learn how to use cell salts, or have me assess which cell salts I think would be helpful for you on an everyday basis. And I have lots of videos on cell salts if you have more questions. Lots of content on my channel so that you can use. Okay. Another thing that's been really helpful for me has been evening primrose oil. And that's because it contains gamma linoleic acid and it's omega-6 fatty acid. I know, omega-6, I know. We think only need omega-3s, but we need a healthy balance of both. And gamma linoleic acid supports healthy inflammatory balance, hormone regulation, and skin and mucosal tissue health. Okay, so women, especially those with hormone or pelvic pain or vulvar discomfort, it can be a really big supportive addition. Like everything else, it's not a magic pill, but it's helpful as a broader plan. The one I use is from Body Bio. They used to have a liquid, they don't. Now they're gel caps, so I cut them open and I just put them in my mouth and spit out the gel cap. Um, I highly recommend using that brand because I know and trust that it's a good brand. Otherwise, I don't know. When it comes to these oils, we want to make sure we're getting really good quality. So that's a brand I know that's really good quality. So again, it's not a magic pill, but I do find it to be helpful to take. And I use that for I mean over a few years actually. And it's been really, really supportive. Okay. Something else that was really supportive that actually my mother brought to my attention, she found it because she was having some issues that she needed support around, was a product that was very soothing because not only would I have bladder, pelvic pain, I used to have vulvar pain would be something that would come up. And there's a vulva cream that I found. It's Medicine Mama's Organic Vulva Balm. My mom found it actually. Sorry about that. My internet went out for a second. I just want to make sure that we are recording. Recording is on. Okay, I'll finish the video on without walking for a few minutes. So anyway, my internet must have went out. It's stormy here today, but we're back. Okay, so the Medicine Mama Organic Vulva Balm. I was saying, oh, that's right. I was saying we as women, our hormones just they fluctuate so much with our cycles, and I found this to be very helpful. And those fluctuations can cause symptomology sometimes, especially as we head into like perimenopause and menopause. So I definitely think that I recommend this to clients and they love it too. And I've recommended it to many others. And if you're struggling with any kind of irritation down there, I would highly recommend it. And also, if you don't know, organic extra virgin coconut oil is wonderful if you ever feel kind of yeasty or yeasty-like symptoms. It works wonders for that because it's rich in, oh my goodness, it's something that kills or balances some sort of acid in it that balances and kills any kind of fungal things that are going on. So it just gives a good balance, and I find it to be very helpful. For me, I also take nat phos regularly, which is another cell salt, 6X, and that helps the acid alkaline balance in the body. My Libra ascending or rising, when I'm stressed, it's going to affect the acid alkaline balance in my body. And Nat Phos has been so helpful. I highly recommend that tissue salt if you are a Libra or a Libra rising, or if stress affects your acid alkaline balance. And another tip I will say that's been very helpful is topical magnesium spray. Um, the one I use is from Butter Me Up Organics. I do have a discount code there, Bright Light Wellness. And I spray it on my feet. Magnesium is very well absorbed topically. And if you're struggling with cramping, like, menstrual cramping, magnesium is a huge support and it's really well absorbed topically, even better than orally. So getting it on your feet at night before bed is helpful. And also you could use, Epsom salt baths and things like this. And also during your period, if or you're really struggling with painful cramps, you can just spray it right on, on the lower abdomen area, and it's very helpful. So these are some other good supports that I can recommend. Of course, these are not going to heal the root cause. They just calm irritation and make day-to-day life more comfortable, right? And I used them when my body was healing, and I still use them when things come up. I use these things to support me, right? I'm working on the deeper stuff always. And I'm also supporting my body in the best way because nobody wants to be in pain. Like it's not comfortable, right? So you want to support your bodies in the best way we can. Okay. So, final message for you guys. I mean, oh man, if you are suffering with chronic pelvic pain, or any kind of even dysmenorrhea, painful periods, I want you to know that I hear you, I see you, I understand how much of a struggle it is. Interstitial cystitis, I understand it, unfortunately, more than others. I actually have a tissue salt course specifically for interstitial cystitis because it was so helpful for me to use tissue salts. Um, so I hear you, I see you, I get it. It sucks. It's horrible. And it can ruin your life. Like it ruined my life for a while. And I had a choice. Either I was going to give in and suffer for the rest of my life, or I was going to change a lot of things about my life. So I decided to change a lot of things about my life, right? I also want you to know that healing rarely comes from just one thing, and that's just the truth of it. It's the accumulation of small changes over time that begin shifting the terrain of the body. It's this accumulation of all the things that we do. So, supporting light environment, nervous system health. I also teach nervous system health with rhythmic movements. I have so many offerings. It's probably overwhelming for many people, but there are a lot of things that I can do to help people because I needed a lot of pearls on my necklace. I needed a lot of things to help me heal. So I acquired a lot of tools that are all very supportive and they all come together. It's just not one thing. That's my point. So it's the light environment, it's the nervous system, it's the nutrition, it's the hormone health, it's the tissue support, with the cell salts, it's mineral support, it's emotional healing, it's the homeopathics, it's all these things. But healing is possible, but it just happens just over time and one layer at a time and in spirals and yeah, it's all those things. So if you need more support, I'm going to link the products that help me below. So the cell salts, MagFos, MagFos is something I can recommend that's not personalized. If you're having cramping, MagFos could be really supportive, right? I'll link the Vulva Bomb. I could link the magnesium spray, the EPO. These are general things that should be supportive if you're dealing with pelvic pain. I will also link some information about my cell salt course or cell salt consultations, homeopathic consultations, my light webinar, my nutrition webinar. They'll all be linked below. So you can get any of these things and just take a step. Take a step towards one of these things. Don't have to feel overwhelmed and like you have to do all of these things today, right? It started with getting rid of crappy cleaning products in my house. You know, like just start somewhere. That's a good step also. I have a free product guide that's also linked that will give you all of the good things to use in your household if you're not sure how to switch those things, right? It makes a huge difference on your endocrine system, which thus makes a huge difference on your hormone health, which thus makes a huge difference on your immune system and your pain levels. And so all of these things matter, okay? Um, so yes. The goal isn't to copy what I have done, like my protocols, right? It's to understand what your body needs. And sometimes we need guidance on that. So you can always work with me one-to-one. One-to-one coaching packages are available. You can just start working with me as a homeopath. And I also sprinkle in all of these other things that can help you because I love homeopathy. But again, I'm a holistic health coach. I do all of these things. If I see that, you're up all night staring at blue light, I might recommend, maybe I might tell you to get off gluten. There are other things, other recommendations I might make at that homeopathic consultation. Okay. Um, I hope that this is helpful. I hope it finds the right people. Um, and I just want you to know that if you're suffering with pain, any kind of pain, that's horrible, but I know pain of pelvic pain, unfortunately, too well. And it's a tough thing to talk about because it's in an intimate place and it's so challenging and it was invisible. Like people would see me and I'd look really healthy and normal and they'd be like, you look fine. I'm like, but I'm not fine. And like I would put on that brave face and meanwhile, everything's on fire and aching and cramping and I'm just like have to just keep going with life. I remember back when I was teaching and things were really bad, I had a heating pad that I would use constantly. I'd put it all over my front abdomen, on my lower back all the time. Like it was bad. It was bad. And then when I did kept ignoring it, it got worse. So don't ignore it. Get support now. Um, so it doesn't become to the level where I was, where I had to like change everything in my life and stop my whole life for a long time. Okay. Let me know if you need more support on this, questions you have, comments you have, if there's more things that you want me to talk about when it comes to this. I do want to talk about how I navigated relationships with my husband around this and, dealing with all of that, the intimacy thing. That's a huge thing. By the way, I did pelvic floor therapy too, which I don't think that really helped, but it's something that can be helpful for some people. It's worth a try. Okay. Anyway, I'm rambling. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm here for you if you need support. Check out the links below that can support you as well.